Welcome to Audible Insights, brought to you by the Insights Association and hosted by David Paul, founder of Dialsmith and Lillian Labs.
Coming to you live from the floor of the Insights Association's Corporate Researchers Conference in Orlando, Florida. I'm joined today by Brian Davis, Senior Manager, Market Research and Insights for New York Life.
Thank you. It's good
Brian,
to be here.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us. So for those who don't know you, Brian, tell us a little bit about your role and your work at New York Life.
Sure. So I joined New York Life a little less than 2 years ago. We are a small research team within a growing marketing function within New York Life. As many who might be familiar with life insurance would know, we are often a sales-driven industry. The common phrase that we hear often is that life insurance is sold, not bought. So as such, we're working against a long history, so to speak, of companies that focus primarily on sales. And so as a new marketing function or a centralized marketing function, we want to bring the voice of the consumer into all the decisions that get made as much as possible. And so I think for anyone that is in an organization that is relatively new to insights, that's something that I deal with on a day-to-day basis. There's kind of both sides of the coin of people that are very excited to have this new toy to play with, but at the same time not understanding when to bring us into the fold and when to start making those decisions about how research can help with what they're trying to do.
Yeah. Well, we heard this morning during one of our keynotes a senior researcher for a major appliance company who talked about the notion of insights and research within a corporation really fitting more within the sales department than any other department, because ultimately those insights are designed to drive sales. It's definitely a mind shift, I think, for a lot of people who are in that room. But as someone who's worked in research for a long time but also has an extensive sales background, it really rings true to me. What did you think when you heard that? How does that resonate with you? And how does that play out for you at New York Life?
It's a great question, because I was completely new to life insurance when I joined New York Life. And I was in the company for, I think, about a year. And it wasn't until I sat in a focus group with a group of agents that I really started to understand what it is that we do on a day-to-day basis. You know, as much as I can know our products and what they do, it's really about how that person who is closest to the customer engages with them and has conversations and helps them understand why they could need life insurance or why they could need one of our other products, that I really started to get a sense of, we're not just selling, it's not just a contract. This is a promise, in the sense of we're helping mitigate risk for people and helping them feel like that their family is going to be taken care of if anything were to ever happen to them. I think I heard one agent talk about it as, I when they're talking about delivering a death benefit, is I deliver love letters from people that have passed away. Oh, wow. And so you could really understand the emotion of what we do. And so hearing about, as you mentioned, the being a part of the sales function, the more that I can get the voice of our agent into our decisions that we're making and really be partners with them, I think the more benefit I can bring to our company to understand exactly how we can bring our company forward and in a way that understands customers in general.
Yeah, well, and being newer to the industry as you are, I'm curious, you have... There's quite a number of challenges in what you have to sell, because you're selling an intangible, which is always a little more challenging than something tangible. You're not selling a widget that you can show off all the whiz-bang features. You're also selling something that people don't wake up in the morning and want to go buy. It's more of a need to have than a want to have. And then thirdly, there is this deeply emotional connection with the kinds of purchase people are making from your organization, because it makes them think about the ultimate worst case scenario that no one wants to think about. Mm-hmm. So assuming that I'm right in that assessment, I'm curious how all of those various challenges stack up to influence the way you conduct research and how you're able to advise your advisors in their sales roles to be more successful.
It's a great question, and I do think that because our industry is just so nuanced, and just like you said, it is something that people don't think about when they first wake up, and it is highly emotional. When you talk about the research, I believe that we want to talk about their entire who they are as a person, especially when we're talking in more of a qualitative setting. We can easily get into the weeds of all of the different terms and conditions of a life insurance contract, and I find some sessions will go there, but I always try to get back to kind of that basic human truth about, we're doing this so you can feel better about going through your day or getting in the car or getting on a plane or whatever it may be, that you can feel that you're, you can't control everything in your life, but at least you can control this little piece of it. So the challenge in that is really, I think, bringing that human element to sometimes things that can get very, very technical. And we want to be able to design products that are very human friendly in that sense. I think a lot of times we have folks in our industry like actuaries and that are thinking about sort of the bottom line and the financials of it. But to be more of a consumer and human friendly company, and I think New York Life has a long history of that. I mean, we're almost 175 years old. We'll be celebrating that next year, and we're very excited about that. And we're always trying to do the right thing. That's why we're set up as a mutual company that is owned by our policyholders. In actuality, we don't have a profit. We have a surplus, hopefully, at the end of every year. A portion of that goes back to our policyholders in the form of a dividend, and the other portion goes back into the business to ensure that we can continue to be here for good, both in the sense of doing the right thing and being here permanently, so that when our policyholders need us, we're there. And so we try to bring that same attitude to our research, is to be doing the right thing for our consumers. And one of the things I just heard in the last keynote speech here was around applying sort of data security measures in how we think about things, and to take, if we only need 2 variables, just take those 2 variables rather than 6 because you can. And it's something that personally, I believe that we need to be more conscious of, as we think we have all these new tools where we can track consumer behavior and decisions. And to me, I think that starts to jeopardize a little bit of the relationship that we have with consumers, because we're taking things with them without really doing it in an upfront way. It's much more of a passive way. And I think that while it can help us make decisions, we need to also take a look at, is it the right way to be making those decisions without that more face-to-face asking people, is this what you want?
And I didn't realize the structure of your organization the way you described it, and that seems like a really big part of your story, because it shows how the organization is truly designed to be there for the benefit of its members. If its members aren't happy and ultimately successful with what they purchase from you, then that's going to have a tremendous impact on the organization. I'm curious, being one of the standards in the industry that's been around for so long, the insurance space now seems to have become riddled with all of the new, quick, high-tech, low-cost, discounted insurance players. How has that impacted the impression, you think, of the standards like you who've been around for so long? And what kind of either a service or disservice do you think that's doing to the market that might be causing companies like yours either a challenge or just a way to really stand out for what it is that you stand for?
I think it's a really great question, because if anything, it just makes us take a look in the mirror to understand what it is, who do we want to be in what is basically a new landscape overall. Obviously, with technology, the speed and the efficiency is something that a lot of consumers are out there looking for. I think overall we are trying to keep pace and trying to update our technology and allow opportunities for consumers to engage with us in different ways. But again, because our purpose is overall about being here for permanence, we don't want to kind of get too short-sighted about what we're doing. And so overall, we are all about human guidance and human connection, really, is what it's about, and which is why we have over 12,000 agents out there, pounding the pavement and talking to people, getting to know them, understand exactly what it is they need, and getting them the policy or the plan that really makes sense for them. And I think that as a company, I personally feel very good that we're continuing to focus on that human interaction and understanding who they are so that we can create exactly what it is that they need, and also be flexible about it. We don't want something that is going to be there forever, because as we grow, I'm a new father, and I recently bought a house, and so now I'm a recent New York Life client as well as an employee.
I know that phase well.
and so, but I know that in 18 years, I'll be thinking about whether or not my son wants to go to college, or whether what his time, and my financial situation is going to be very different. And so I know that my agent and I can have a discussion about, all right, how do we plan for this next phase? And I think that's something that no amount of technology is ever going to help that one person sitting down over my kitchen table figuring out what it is. And I think that's ultimately what the story we want to tell as a brand is, what we stand for. Yeah. And so we'll like I said, we want to take advantage of all the technology, but I don't think it fundamentally changes who we are.
Yeah, well, and ultimately, if all goes well for your customers, they won't actually need to utilize your service for a very long time.
Exactly.
And part of that peace of mind for them has to be that you will be there that very long time from now, which is not a story that everyone else in the market can tell.
Exactly. And like I said, we have that sort of double entendre of we're being here for good. Maybe double entendre is not the right word, so maybe we want to cut that. But it being here for good means we want to do right by our customers and be here as long as humanly possible. And we're almost at 175 years, and I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Well, that's an amazing milestone. Congrats in advance on that, and congrats on your growing family.
Thank you.
Brian Davis, I've really enjoyed talking with you. Thanks for making some time for us today.
David, thank you very much. I've enjoyed it as well.
Thanks so much for listening. You can find all our episodes by searching Audible Insights on iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Play, and by visiting insightsassociation.org/audible. Thanks again, and we'll catch you next time.